The Boy from Oshugun, A Testament of Iron and Grace, The Fire and the Chain, 1809 to 1821.
The Odyssey begins in the waning twilight of the Oyo Empire, within the vibrant town of Oshogun. Born around 1809, the boy Ajayi breathed the air of royalty. He was a grandson of King Gabiodun through the lineage of his mother, Afala. Yet, in an era where the order of the scepter was crumbling, royal blood offered no sanctuary against the encroaching chaos of the Yoruba civil wars. In March 1821, the world turned to ash. The Owu Wars, a predatory conflagration fueled by the collapse of central authority, descended upon Oshogun. Fulani slave raiders, acting as the grim reapers of a fractured empire, ransacked the town. The cacophony of hoofbeats and screams, Ajayi's father, Ayemi, vanished into the fog of slaughter, captured as spoils of war. The 12-year-old Ajayi, his mother, and his toddler brother were shackled. The boy was battered like a commodity, eventually sold to Portuguese dealers and thrust into the suffocating, necrotic awe of the Esperanza, the slave ship destined for the plantations of the New World.
The Divine Intervention, 1821 to 1827.
Faith, however, possessed a different script, written in the spray of the Atlantic. The British Royal Navy, empowered by the Abolition Act of 1807, maintained the West Africa Squadron, the Black Joke, and our sister ships to hunt the merchants of flesh. In a thunderous confrontation at sea, Captain Henry Leake of the HMS Mimidon intercepted the Portuguese vessel. The chains were shattered not by the passage of time, but by the steel of British intervention. Ajayi was brought to Freetown, Sierra Leone, a verdant sanctuary for the liberated Africans. Under the tutelage of the Church Missionary Society, CMS, the captive boy revealed himself to be a polymath in the making. He devoured the English language with a hunger that bordered on the miraculous. On December 11, 1825, he underwent a spiritual metamorphosis. Baptized by John Raban, he shared his status as a captive to become Samuel Ajayi Crowther, named in honor of a prominent London vicar. By 1827, his intellect had become a beacon. After a formative sojourn to St. Mary's Church School in Islington, he returned to Africa to become the founding student number 1 of Furabe College. There, amidst the humid breeze of Freetown, he mastered the classical rigors of Latin and Greek, while meticulously documenting the syntax of the Teme people. Crowther's ascent was propelled by a dual fire, a zeal for the gospel and a reverence for the mother tongue.
The Architect of Words, 1841 to 1863.
In 1841, he joined the ill-fated Niger expedition, a grand Victorian venture to replace the triple scourge slave trade disease, and ignorance with the 3C: Christianity, commerce, and civilization. While fever decimated the European ranks, Crowther's resilience and linguistic acuity flourished. The Reverend James Shone was so moved by Crowther's character that he insisted the African be ordained. By 1843, the former captive stood as a priest in the Church of England. He returned to Yoruba land in 1846, establishing a mission in Abeokuta. It was here that he experienced a scene of biblical pathos. He found and reunited with his mother, Afala. After 25 years of separation, she was the first convert he baptized in the land of his birth. Crowther's greatest legacy, however, was forged in ink. A linguistic cartographer, he published the first Yoruba grammar, 1843, and a comprehensive vocabulary, 1852, embedding the philosophy of his people into the written word. He began the Herculean task of translating the Bíbélì Mímọ́, the Yoruba Bible, ensuring that the Word of God spoken with the rhythm of the village square. His scholarly reach was vast. He authored the first primers for the Igbo language in 1857 and established the grammatical foundations for Nupe, 1864. His domestic life was a mirror of his own redemption. He wed Asano, Suzanne, a woman who, like him, had been rescued from the bowels of a slave ship, the Band. Their union birthed a dynasty. Their son, Danderson, became an archdeacon, and their daughter's son, Albert Macaulay, would one day be hailed as the father of Nigerian nationalism.
The Bishop of the Niger, 1864 to 1891.
The zenith of his journey occurred on St. Peter's Day, June 29, 1864, in the hallowed, echoing nave of Canterbury Cathedral. Samuel Ajayi Crowther was consecrated as the first African bishop in the Anglican Communion. Queen Victoria herself issued the royal mandate for his consecration. Crowther was no longer the frightened boy of Oshogun. He was a doctor of divinity from Oxford University. He was a man who moved comfortably between the royal courts of London and the mud-walled palaces of the Niger Delta. He once famously enchanted Queen Victoria by reciting the Lord's Prayer in Yoruba, which she described as a language of liquid melody. For the next 3 decades, he acted as a bridge between worlds. He founded the Academy in Lagos, a center for cultural and intellectual enlightenment, alongside his son-in-law, Captain J.P.L. Davis. He labored until his final breath, completing the Yoruba Bible, a linguistic masterpiece that unified the Yoruba dialects into a single literary standard. On December 31, 1891, the Venerable Bishop transitioned from history into eternity following a stroke in Lagos.
The Final Journey, 1891 to 1976.
Crowther was initially interred in the Ajayi Cemetery, but his physical rest was as storied as his life. In 1971, when urban redevelopment threatened his resting place, a wave of reverence swept through Nigeria. In 1876, led by Bishop Seth Kale, the remains of the black bishop were exhumed with the solemnity befitting a saint. He was buried within the Cathedral Church of Christ in Lagos. Today, his cenotaph stands as a silent, powerful testament. A boy who was once valued in cowries and chains became a man whose worth was measured in the souls he stirred and the languages he saved. He remains the ultimate symbol of iron, the strength to survive the Middle Passage, and grace, the wisdom to return and heal the land that sold him.